The idea of buying property in Singapore, of course, lots of people do. Lots of people buy condos, buy HDBs. We all know all of that. But thinking about buying something a bit larger, a landed property, is often sometimes something that might be out of reach for a lot of people just from a price perspective. We're going to talk more about assessing landed properties beyond the headline prices and how some people may actually be able to afford property of their dreams. Joining us in the studio, Harvey, Chia, the co-host of the Property Roundtable podcast, and Raama, also the co-host of the Property Roundtable podcast. Gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you in the studio here on Moneyfm.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
All right.
Nice to be here.
Good. Great to have you. Okay, can we afford to buy landed property? Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Thumbs up, man. I think everybody can do that. Just need a bit of structuring. I think it can be done.
Well, let's go right into that. Literally, could Glenn and I buy a landed property? So just clarify the rules on buying landed property
as
in
PRs,
Singapore. PRs, foreigners, and so on.
All right. For PRs, of course, you can. As a matter of fact, anyone can, provided they get a approval from the Land Development Authority unit. All right. So all it needs is an application and a convincing one, and you're good to go.
What qualifies as a convincing application? I really need this house because what?
First, you have the money.
Yeah. So it's like this. You know, people always ask, "What is in it for me?"
Right.
But what have you done for the country? Right. So, and if you have contributed in many ways than one, and then that's a good starting point. All right. And if you have contributed to nation building, that's another point. All right. And if you also come from a country where you have lived in such similar conditions, then that will be also ideal because you may have a lot of pets and you're used to those lifestyle. And these are some of the points that you put in this application.
I mean, we're not all James Dyson who buys the penthouse at Wallach, Wallach Tower in Tanjong Pagar or whatever. So, I mean, is it possible to make an ordinary person to really make that case stick if you're not a citizen?
Like you said, ordinary person, but whether they are foreigner, they're PR or Singaporean matters, right? For ordinary Singaporeans, definitely yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. For foreigners, yes, you need to go through this process. Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, what you have done for the country, right? All this matters. So there you go. If they feel that you've done something and all these points add up, and you may possibly get a approval. Yeah.
Right. Harvey, you're both been property agents between you for 30 years. You have 30 years experience. Yeah. Between the two of you. What made you focus the podcast on landed property?
I think the landed segment has become a go-to, be it aspirationally or really owning something, a piece of Singapore. And I think the scarcity factor plays a big part. I think the savvy investors today see the marketplace as buying a piece of landed property for wealth and legacy planning, whereas condos is more of like an investment, but the duration of holding is much shorter. So that's a flipping mentality to condos. It may not be a long hold. But for landed properties, of course, earlier in your program, you mentioned a little bit about COVID, right? So after COVID, I think a lot of people decided that they want more space. And on top of that, the landed property, you own the land and the structure as well. So because of that, as time changed, the channel realized that there was a big gap. Nobody was talking about this segment at all because it's so technical. And we have to take a very long view towards the segment of the market. So therefore, we took on this YouTube channel podcast to focus on landed, and we have touched a niche group of subscribers who watch us and seek advice from us how to do it.
Yeah. And just to clarify one thing, are all landed properties freehold in Singapore?
No.
Okay.
There are different kinds of tenure in Singapore. It could be freehold, 999, 99-year leasehold, or even like 9,999. There are like different tenures.
9,999 years?
Correct.
The obvious question is why?
Is that kind of like, that's kind of the same as freehold? I mean, when you get to that point, right?
But like what Harvey said, right? In those days, they had this, and these 9,999 can start from maybe 1865.
Oh, so these are old colonial regulations.
Yeah. Correct.
Would those be black and whites mostly?
No, not really. Interestingly, I think some of them can be found very in prime, very central in Singapore. For example, like maybe if you're at let's say Carpenter Street, you could find like different tenures. It could be 999 or even like 49s. I think that this is it's an age-old thing that was inherited.
Yeah.
So from then on, of course, with modernization, I think for land use rejuvenation, it became a 99-year leasehold, whereby it's a 3-generational living. And once that expires, like HDB flats, right, the land goes back to state, and then they can replan the master plan again.
Yeah.
So they will put what's best highest and best use for the land in line with the future of Singapore, how they want to scope the landscape.
We're talking with Harvey, Chia, and Raama, the co-hosts of the Property Roundtable podcast. Raama, just to clarify, landed property can be anything from a terrace house to a good class bungalow. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. And anything else that I'm missing out of that?
Like you mentioned earlier, black and whites.
Black and whites.
Different class as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the hot segment of the market right now in terms of landed properties? Is there a segment of that's moving?
This is the debate we have in the podcast every time. It's between
Perfect.
The viewers and us. So of course everyone likes to have the bigger one, which is the semi-D or the detached house, right? Yeah. But me and Harvey, I think we would agree on this. We love inter-terraces because they form the most number, right?
Yeah.
So, and we also feel as long as there's this category, inter-terraces, are in the higher numbers, the transaction will also be higher, and therefore the price movement will also be there, right? So, on a personal note, I would say inter-terraces attract me.
And explain what an inter-terrace is. What's the difference?
It's like a row of houses.
Just the row.
Yeah, and not the one not the first one or the last one.
Right.
Those are known as corner terraces.
Corner terraces. Got it. Okay. And so is that kind of the segment that has the most value in it? Can you say that at the moment, or
not like that? But I'm a person
just
who
the most
believes.
the most numbers.
I love the number of transactions. So to me personally, if there's a lot of transactions, the price will move up. So I believe this category of landed property, the price movement will be better than the rest. That's my opinion.
It's funny you say that. I grew up listening to you. I grew up in a terraced house in the UK, a council house. And when we was a kid, my mum used to say it was posh, atas, because we had an end of terrace. The price was the same. It was just luck. Does that apply here? That the position of a terraced house within the street will affect the value if it's end of terrace, middle of terrace?
I think in Singapore, because of the lack of the scarcity factor, right? That's only about 73,000 landed homes in Singapore. I think the road.
Wait, say that again.
There's only about 73,000 landed homes in Singapore.
Is that right? Across all of those categories?
Yes, across all of those categories.
That's not many.
And therefore, I think it's more important where your house is situated, like which district it is.
Of course.
Which road it's on. But of course, on the same street, let's say if it's like it's an undulating terrain. Obviously, if you're seated on a more elevated ground, there would be more premium to that versus something that's found below road level, for example. So I think to your question, I think, yes, it does matter. But if it's just the same row on the same terrain, I think front or back, I think it's pretty much the same.
I think every property is like an art piece. It's like a canvas. The land is the canvas. And then everyone builds upon it. So everything is unique in its own way. So you can see two units in the same street. One will look better than the other because why they decided to paint it differently.
They call it curb appeal, right? That's what we call it in the U.S. anyway. I don't know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Visually, like it sells, right?
Right. Yeah.
And what interests me with the terraced houses is that, yes, of course, there are many downtown and everything, but they're in Sengkang, they're in Punggol, they're in Hougang, they're around Jalan Kayu. People don't often realize that there are a lot of decent terraced houses in traditional neighborhoods, what we would call the heartlands.
Yes.
Are those popular, and does their value change?
Actually, it is popular. I think, in fact, for people who are in the heartlands, aspirationally, when they look at buying landed, if they don't know the island well enough, they aspire to buy something like this. For example, if I drive by
in their area.
Correct, because if I drive by that area, I'm very familiar. For example, if I stay in Hougang, I would drive by, say, Kovan, and I say, oh, that's where I want to be. Right? If I'm in the East Coast, I look at Opera Estate. I say, oh, when I grow up, I want to be here. So I think they are as popular as the buyer who wants to buy in that area that he's familiar with.
It's like monopoly, It's different pricings at the different quarters. But the problem in Singapore is even the starting end is going up in price, so therefore the rest are also going up as well.
Correct.
Of course.
Correct.
Where are the hot neighborhoods now? I know, like, I have friends that live out in Sunset Way.
Yes.
I have friends in Opera Estate, as you just mentioned.
Yes.
Friends in different places around the island. Are there certain estates that are for landed properties in let's say the mid-market, not necessarily the good class bungalows, but that are popular?
In our channel, like every quarter, we will talk about the shootouts, right? Like which districts do best. But we have also put our heads on the line typically to talk about upcoming districts. So we have actually highlighted that, for example, District 16 in the Upper East Coast area, District 14.
Where's 16?
Upper East Coast.
Upper East Coast.
Like 15 is like East Coast.
Yeah, East Coast, right.
16 is like Upper East Coast.
So what areas would that be?
Is that toward Bedok South?
Yes,
that
correct.
area?
Towards Bedok, towards Q area, for example.
Yeah.
These are interesting up-and-coming estates.
Transformations around the place.
Or even like District 14, where you look at Eunos and Kembangan, which is traditionally quite sleepy. But because prices in District 15, which is East Coast, have been scaling new heights, then the spillover effect, what we call the sister districts, they benefit from the price movements. So they are the up-and-coming districts.
You've also got the MRT now in that District 16 area around Bayshore, and that must help as well.
Of course, obviously.
And new HDBs going in there too.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
But if we purely talk in terms of numbers, the district that always comes on top is, of course, District 19.
Yes.
Right? Because they have the most number of landed property.
And remind us where that is. What's the...
District 19 is...
Serangoon, Hougang.
Got it.
Some parts of Bartley. This is very close to the station.
Very
right?
close to here.
Yeah.
Again, that comes back to my earlier point. You only have to go down Serangoon Road towards Hougang, and all of those streets, they're all landed properties.
Yeah,
and people don't often associate, landed properties with Hougang,
correct.
but there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
You know your markets, I can see.
I'm careful. I know the area.
Now
but
look who's the property guy here. Right?
Yeah, right. How about the Paya Lebar area as well? Because we all know that's set for redevelopment, the airport. But there are quite a lot of terrace houses.
That's the part I'm talking about.
That area, but just adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Are people viewing investments like that based on, hey, we know in 10 years, 15 years' time, Paya Lebar is going to be redeveloped. This would be a good time to get in on a less expensive property?
Now that you mention it on the show, I think we should do a topic on that one.
No, actually,
come on, you guys had to have thought of that before me.
We did actually. Actually, they.
But thank you for that.
They probably didn't see it that way. Yeah. But during the channel, we talk about master plan movements,
right?
And we are trying to change the perspective and mindset of people buying landed beyond just the structure and the look of it, and to have a long-term perspective towards like master plan changes, rejuvenation.
Strategic locations.
So I myself have been staying in this area and buying within District 19 purely because of the airbase transformation story, right?
Yeah.
So and that appeals to our viewers as to why we make certain decisions. So we are changing their mindsets, giving them more insights as to why when they buy something, right, they should have a longer-term view, and that should benefit their decisions.
Which area do you live in? Roughly?
Yeah, I was hoping you'll ask that question.
Yeah.
Harvey belongs to that district.
Which area are you in roughly?
I used to stay in Tai King. Now I'm staying in Bartley, which is all around the same area.
Down the street.
So listeners...
And Raama, where are you?
And I'm in Queenstown.
Yeah.
Okay, so listeners following your podcast, I'm interested to hear you talk about strategy and buying. This idea, what if I'm an HDB owner?
Yes.
Can I really make the jump to a terraced house? Or can it be done?
One of our very, very first
if you got $1.5 million or $1.2 million HDB, maybe, right?
I'm always worried about the next generation, especially the kids and everything.
Yeah,
but you know what? I don't think we need to worry about them because they have their way of making money. I've seen them invest in, I've seen crypto millionaires, right? So what they've done is they've made quite an amount of money, and 50% they actually reinvested in a property in Singapore. And these guys are very young. And as a matter of fact, one of our viewers, they are HDB upgraders. They bought a HDB when it got MOP'd, which is the minimum occupation period after 5 years. Their next leap was a landed property.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was amazing, and the story was a very interesting story.
Yeah, we have done multiple such cases whereby it's a HDB owner where it's a quantum leap, right, from a HDB to a landed. And you made Glenn, you made a good point about do you have to have $1 million flat before you can make that leap to landed? Not really. I think a lot of younger generation or younger buyers in today's market, they have made their money from different areas, businesses, investments in other asset classes like shares or crypto, but they want to lock in their profits. They feel that the landed market in Singapore is dependable, is stable, so they take that profits from other segments and they lock it in and put it inside a landed home, which serves as a home and an investment both ways. Yeah.
Just one question to follow up on that. I think of my co-host on Friday, Dan Koh. He's a typical Singaporean in his late 20s. He worries about this, the cost going up. He can't even get on the property ladder. It's very hard unless he gets that BTO lottery.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the kids coming through. If they haven't got crypto accounts, is it getting harder for the younger generation to get on the property ladder?
I mean, at the end of the day, there's, like what Harvey mentioned earlier, there's only 73,000 landed properties in Singapore, and of which the fruit, what do you call that? The lowest hanging fruit.
Yep.
All right. They are now in the 4 million mark. So that being said, there's only about 10% of people who can afford it. But then again, what we do at the podcast is we talk to them, we try to structure, see what they can afford, and figure out from there.
And the answer to your question about hopping onto the property bandwagon, right? I think from the government perspective, I think from a planning perspective, there's something for everybody at different price points. It is the demands and the needs of that buyer that set them apart from whether they can buy something. So if I have a wallet size of $1 million, but I'm aiming for things that are more beyond that $1 million mark, then therefore they may never ever join that property bandwagon, right? But if you know, and if you're unsure, what are your choices, right? That's where experienced hands come to play. Like we impart some sort of like property wisdom, right? Whereby you don't have to make that quantum leap right now. You can take baby steps. Nobody has to do like HDB to landed. They can do like HDB and then maybe like condo, maybe multiple strategies to get to the end point, right? That the markets keep changing, so therefore strategies keep changing. That's why we are here to give that advice. Yeah.
Actually, one of the key things that we have done in our podcast is we have this show whereby we tell the audience how much do you need to earn in order to afford a landed property. Right. So that's the starting point. Like for example, we take into consideration the TDSR, the loan and everything. And from there, we know, okay, this is how much you need to earn to actually afford a $4 million property.
Yeah, that makes sense. People need to have that thought process.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah. Gents, we have to leave it there. Harvey Chia, co-host of the Property Roundtable podcast, along with Raama, the co-host of the Property Roundtable podcast. When do your new episodes drop? Is it weekly or how do you do it?
We drop Saturday, 6 p.m. Weekly.
Got it. On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube, yes.
Great. Listen in if you are interested in knowing more about the landed property market in Singapore. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.